early morning routine. 5:39, my alarm goes off, get my mug of coffee, and then I try to find the world markets to see what happened with corn and soybean prices around the world. And every day is different, so there's no set routine once I get on the farm.
It's all day long. You don't ever get done, you just quit. And you know, taking care of calves is my main deal.
As a farmer, you try to make a schedule, but usually you can never stick to it because there's always something that pops up. The cow gets out, or the pig gets out, or the tractor breaks down, or something that has to be taken care of at the moment. So you never know.
I'm in a bit of a unique situation because I farm in a wildlife refuge. And so there's different rules and regulations on the land that I farm. We're highly regulated in what herbicides we can use, even what we can grow. We really can only grow corn, wheat, and soybeans.
Oh, the hardest part is keeping these little calves alive. We take them off their mamas when they're young and getting them to eat. You know, we get them at 7 and 8 weeks old, and you know they're still sucking their mama, and you got to get them to eat feed. And if they don't, you know, they deteriorate and die. And that's the hardest part of my business. And they cost $400 a piece right now, and you drag one off, that's $400 down the drain.
I've lost about 50% of my income the last 2 years over what I generally would average. Corn is a very expensive crop to grow, and so there's a lot of cost involved. And then you have about probably $40 an acre in herbicides after you start growing your crop to keep them clean. So there's a tremendous amount of income that goes into corn crop.
Well, both of us has lost a parent, and that's you know really hard. And you know, just dragging off those dead animals, you know, when you lose one, that's hard on you. It's just money out of your pocket, and you get attached to them kind of too, because you're taking care of them. You can feed them, take care of them. You lose one, it's you know, it's not a good deal that day.
You know, we've had cattle stolen
Yeah.
from us, 2 different occasions. We had 40 head stolen from us that we never recovered. And that was devastating because they were ready to go to sale. They were huge, and they cut the lines through. I mean, they backed up,
cut the interstate fence.
cut the interstate and pulled onto the interstate with our cattle, with their trailers, and took off. We saw the trailer and wheel marks, and that was absolutely devastating to him. He was just he wanted to find them, but that passed. We made it through. We didn't have any insurance at the time for cattle. We didn't even think about getting insurance for cattle, but now we know you can. And we took out insurance. We paid it for years and years and years, and then we had it happen again. And it was a horrible situation because it was a young man that he trusted. We treated like a son. We let him live in our house for a year. And he had gradually been stealing 1 or 2, because the way he does this with so many head, and he moves them, he resorts, he has a certain number here, then he changes them and bunches them together in a different way. It's hard to
Well, they can
track.
take 1 or 2 out of a group, and you not even know it till the end when you go to selling time, and
And
then
that was
then you
when
trying
we
to figure it out.
realized. He noticed one day when we were driving by this one lot of pretty good sized calves, he said, you know, where's that one? Because he just remembers them with the floppy ear, with the bald face, that where is she? And he noticed.
I had 10 heifers in there I was going to keep for cows, and that was the 10 that was gone, and that's what made me realize some was gone. And I went to really counting, and then found out there was shoot.
And so then we filed insurance that there was a theft after he looked and looked and looked for tracks on the railroad track everywhere. And then they sent out a investigator, a marshal, and questions, and then just people saying, and then someone actually said, well, I didn't see anything strange, but his hired hand loaded up some cattle last weekend over here. Does that count? Yeah. So the kid actually admitted it
Finally.
cheerfully, and then he's in jail.
Yeah, he's
sitting
serving
in
jail
prison
right now.
serving 5 years.
24 years old.
Yep.
I just want a little sugar. Yeah, what do you think, huh? Girl, she's a red wattle, but she is. See the little thing hanging down under. Hardest part of my day? I guess bending over at my age. Down bales of hay after they stomp it down and all, you know, and in the springtime we'll set it on fire and burn all that off. You know, and that's what we've been doing today.
Oh.
Yeah, they're laying out there, you know. Come here. Come here, Reddy. Come on.
Oh, she's so pretty.
Come here. Come on. Come here. Come on. Feet's gonna get hot.
I graduated high school in 1981. I was considering the military, but my family really needed me on the farm. And so I didn't go to college. And so in the early 1980s was a very, very difficult time for farmers. There were Jimmy Carter, President Carter, put an embargo on then the Soviet Union. Also, I believe is involved in China also. An embargo, we couldn't sell our produce there. We couldn't sell corn and beans. We couldn't make contracts with them. And so it really flooded the market. We had nowhere to go with our crops. And so commodity prices really fell. Not only that, in the early 1980s, for about 2 or 3 years, we had some very bad drought years. Seems like it runs in cycles. And then seemed like about 1986, had a flood. It's a very severe flood. And so then you recover for those, and hopefully you're still in business. And you have 2 or 3 good years, and you get to replace some equipment. And then you go and you have another year or two of drought, another lost crop due to a flood. And so every few years there's always a drought and a flood. Right now we're going through a very severe drought. Well, I don't have any livestock, no chickens or nothing like that. There's no growth hormones. I use it all. Now, I have in the past for many, many years used GMO crops, genetically modified organisms, Roundup Ready corn and soybeans, for the last probably 15, close to 20 years. And rules came down a few years ago through the Fish and Wildlife Service that we couldn't use those anymore. And so that's been extremely difficult on our farm. Outside the fence, I farm some land also, and I can use anything the Environmental Protection Agency says I can use. Pesticides, herbicides. Inside the wildlife refuge, I'm limited to maybe a dozen different kinds of herbicides. The decisions are made in Washington, not locally. They have no clue the situations I have here because every region of the United States has different kind of weed pressures and bug situations. And so that's very frustrating when those people elsewhere are making these decisions.
You know, there's regulations on sprays and fertilizers. You know, I use fertilizer, and when you go buy fertilizer nowadays, you got to sign for it, you know, put your name on the dotted line because of all this stuff that goes on, you know, nowadays.
My favorite thing about owning a farm is being your own boss, number one, and the challenge, overcoming the obstacles, being successful. Even when you have a failed year, you can still be successful because you knew you did everything right. Everything you could possibly do, you did right, or close to right. But things that are out of your control is what made it more difficult. But I would say being your own boss.
The freedom to be out here and be your own boss. There's nothing like getting on a horse, take it off.
You know, we talked about my therapy for my job is to do a puzzle. He said, my therapy's out there on a horse where it's quiet. He rides the fence, checks fence all the time, because you never know when a tree limb has knocked it down.
Just checking the
And,
mamas
checking the
on the
mamas.
cows, make sure babies are good.
There's a lot of hard times. You have to be optimistic. That's the number one thing. You have to formulate a plan, because things are constantly changing. What you might think you're going to do one day, you wake up in the morning, you get going on the farm, something breaks, it rains, the weather changes on you, the moisture you think's in the soil when you're trying to plant's not there. There's other things that change your daily plans, and so you just try to be optimistic, get your priorities straight. What's the most important thing to do that day? What would my dad do?
Well, I'll tell you what I say. When he comes in and he's like, oh, tomorrow we got to do this all over again. I am so tired. My elbows hurting, my back. I had to ride. A horse fell with me today. I said, you got to love it. This is what he loves. And I remind him, you got to love it. And he said, oh, I do. I love it. So he does love this life.
That pretty much sums it up.
But yeah, if there's something that needs to be done, I'm the kind of person that likes to get it done. I don't like to leave something that's halfway finished. So I just keep going.
Average person don't know nothing that goes on a farm, don't realize, she's brought kids from her school over and they drive up and the first thing they go is, whoo, it stinks,
Things that concern me are there's only like 2.1 million farms in the whole country out of 370, 80 million people. We're losing about, last thing I read was about 1.2 million acres of farmland every year, farmland, due to government purchases a lot of land, owning a lot of land. Urban sprawl, towns spreading out, cities getting bigger, small farms, big farms being ate up by urban sprawl. Those things are concerning. I don't think the general public really realizes, even like a small farm like myself, what kind of revenue we help generate for our small towns that we live by. I have about 200 tires on the ground. I counted last night, 14 motors to maintain. I have 3 large tractors from 125 horse to 235 horse tractors. I have a couple of antiques. I have 3 pickups, I have 2 semis, 2 10-wheelers. I got all these things to maintain. I got tires to buy and oil to buy and fuel to buy. And all these, I try to buy it all locally. When we lose our small farms, which we're doing, it's really gonna hurt our small communities that we farm in.